Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to have everyone together. It's so good to see everyone's faces. Um, this is an exciting time for us, and so coming together for this special event to welcome our new superintendent. It's kind of a crazy time to be coming into Fremont Unified, but so far so good. We're so pleased to have CJ with us. I'm so excited to see you all and for all of us to be able to come together and meet our new superintendent and also discuss Fremont Unified today, sort of what we're facing and all the various new experiences we're sharing together as we see our community come together during these really challenging times. So thank you to everyone in the audience who submitted questions or comments over the last few days. We will get to as many subjects as we can in the hour we have available to us. It may be that we will not hit on all topics, but please know that we have read everything that you submitted. And if you have any questions that come up during this program, that you still have questions, you can always reach out to your administrator. They're always there for you. And we are very lucky in the American attendance area to have such a great group working together. So we feel very lucky about that. So we're going to start just by introducing our new superintendent, CJ Kamak, and saying welcome to Fremont Unified. You are coming to us. Your previous district was Martinez Unified School District, where you were superintendent for 4 years. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you for the welcome, and very pleased to be joining you from Martinez, and before that from San Ramon. So thank you very much.
So you've had commutes before, so luckily you're not daunted by that. So that's nice. You have also worked on lots of different levels of educations, having been a teacher, a principal, a director, an assistant superintendent over 20 plus years of your career. Maybe if you'd like to just say hello and tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you find Fremont Unified.
Thank you. Yes, as was mentioned, I've had a real blessing to have many different experiences in the world of education. My start was as a fifth grade teacher, and still one of my most favorite jobs that I've ever held. And while I was teaching fifth grade, I also had the privilege to coach high school baseball. I did that at Head Roy School for a few years before I moved into administration. And during my time in administration, I've served in roles covering middle school vice principal, elementary school principal, director of special education and student services, ultimately moving into HR, and then, as you noted, superintendency. So this marks my 5th year as a superintendent. And in the last 5 years, I would like to think that I've seen a lot of things that I didn't expect to see in the world of education. But 2020 brought us a few more surprises. And I am very pleased to be working and serving the community of Fremont and working with this group, because if anybody can handle what 2020 has brought to us, I think it is Fremont Unified. So thank you very much for the welcome on a more, because I believe that we all come to work as individuals. I am very lucky to have an incredible wife who is a pediatric OR nurse at Children's Hospital. And I have an 8th grade son and a daughter who's in 5th grade.
So it's all kids all the time at home, huh?
Yes.
Well, we're super happy to have you with us in Fremont. And we're very lucky to have also on the call with us this evening our principals from the American attendance area and district administration. I'd like to take a quick opportunity to introduce everyone who is on the call. First, starting with another new to Fremont that we are very lucky to have with us, our Assistant Superintendent of Instruction, Leticia Salinas. You want to say hi? And our Director of Elementary Education, Robin Surt. See, Robin, there you are. And our Director of Secondary Education, Zach Larson. See Zach there. American High School Principal, Megan Barrington. Oh, there you are. Thornton Junior High School Principal Stan Hicks, my old buddy. And then Ardenwood Elementary School Principal Ellie Wasser. Elias, I apologize. And Brookvale Elementary Principal Melinda Elliott. Is she on the call? Oh, there you are. Okay. Forest Park Elementary Principal Dana Graham. Hi. Olivera Elementary Principal Linda Anderson. Patterson Elementary Principal Jorge Gonzalez. Hey, Jorge. And Warmbrook Elementary Principal Barbara Ochoa. Good to see you all. I want to thank you all so very much for all that you do for our students every day, because right now, I mean, things are generally in education move pretty quickly, but this is a little bit like jumping onto a freight train that's moving at a high speed. We're all learning quickly and having to adjust to every day being a little bit different than the day before in a way that we don't normally see in education. And it really does make it challenging. I know I kid with CJ that he's working 24/8. He's had to add another entire day into his schedule because 24/7 isn't enough. And I'm sure that that's true for all of you as well. Because even when you're not working, it's very difficult even to sleep through the night without making lists in your head of all the things you have to accomplish the next day. So I just want to take the opportunity to say how grateful I am. And we all are, the whole board is grateful for the work that you are doing. So we will start with this discussion by turning it over to the superintendent for some opening comments about your experience so far on the job. If there's anything else you'd like to say about Fremont today, we welcome that.
Thank you. The only thing I would like to add is I just want to add my thanks to everybody. It's been an incredibly warm welcome to Fremont, and I really have just been amazed by the beginning of this start. There's a number of challenges that lie in front of us, but those challenges are not unique to Fremont alone. They are challenges that exist within our state, within our society as a whole. And the welcome to Fremont has just been exceptional. The staff, both the classified and certificated staff, have been amazing. I've been so impressed with their work. And the administrators across Fremont Unified have just simply been exceptional since the first day I arrived, and all of the work that's taken place in getting ready to start the year in distance learning. Every staff member in the district that's been a part of that has been exceptional. And I have been incredibly impressed by our students. I've had the chance to be a part of a few student forums and meet with a few student representatives, and it has been a tremendous experience. Even had the chance to read to some first graders the first week of school, and that was an awesome experience. A lot of empathy for our primary teachers in distance learning and the work that they're doing in terms of classroom management. And I also want to thank the community. The community's been very involved but supportive, and I appreciate all of those attributes. So just my compliments to everybody for a great start to the year, and my gratitude for a warm welcome to Fremont.
Terrific. I think maybe we will start by talking a little bit about distance learning. I'm really interested in knowing, and it seems like we've had input from our community who's interested in learning about how distance learning has been going so far. Is there anyone from elementary ed that'd like to share just their experience at their school site? Not to put you on the hook.
Well, I'll just speak for all of them, I think. Oh, go, Linda. Go ahead.
I didn't like the silence, so that's why okay. But go right ahead. Yeah, okay, all right. I'll start this because I know we have a group here that does like to add, so hopefully I'm starting that flow. So
That's it.
yeah, I feel that as the weeks have progressed, I've seen such more group collaboration, really owning the whole part, being online all the time. Kids are there, kids are excited. I told the teachers that they, you know, they said a lot of it's internalized of what they're feeling, because when they're on screen, you don't see it. You see the engagement, you see the happiness, you see the smiles, and so they're pulling the kids that way. Sure, are they feeling it inside? The reason they're feeling it inside is they want to do the best that they can for these kids, and it's there. And I think the parents are happy, communication is going well, and I'll stop there because I could keep on going. And I know we have a great American attendance area group that will add to that.
Yeah, please feel free. We want to be conversational. If there's some anecdote that you want to share or some experience that you've had, it's sort of unfair of me to put elementary on blast to start out, but maybe Robin, if you have sort of an overview of elementary or anything that you're seeing consistently, that would be great to hear.
Yeah, and I will just build on what Linda said. I think the teachers are doing a phenomenal job really organizing their day and providing the best sound learning environment they can in distance learning. They all had to work out the tweaks of what the schedules looked like, but it's just amazing to see. I've been able to drop into a few classes, and teachers are pulling out their acting roles, right? This is their screen and they are giving it their all. And it's truly inspiring to see how much time they've all put in to really keeping the students engaged and keeping them active in their learning. And so I think that's just been really consistent throughout all of the schools. I don't know if any of the principals want to share a specific anecdote of what a teacher might be doing that's really keeping their students engaged. Now I'm putting you on the spot.
I love seeing our teachers do the brain breaks where they get up and they're dancing around and sort of, making all the kids laugh, and especially the younger kids. They think it's so funny when their teacher's making silly faces or doing things like that, and they get so engaged, and then they get right back into their work. It's just like seamless. And it blows my mind, especially for our first graders, when they're on screen and they take a break for 2 minutes and then they're just right back focused and they're writing their words or doing whatever they need to do. It's really, really fun to see. Additionally, I want to shout out our parents, especially to our younger kids who maybe have to sit next to them and help them log on to the Zoom sessions, and they're going to PE Zoom and then back to class. And it can be pretty confusing. So I would just really like to thank our parents a lot.
Yeah, if I could tack on to that, one of the things that I know that one of the things that the community sees is obviously the live instruction that's happening with our students. But what I've been really particularly impressed with is as soon as live instruction ends, I know staff is very much engaged in continual reach out to families to make sure that any barriers in case a connection was lost or a student may not have completed a particular assignment, that engagement, that desire to keep the engagement sustained is really a quality that I know that teachers across the American attendance area in particular are focused on.
Thank you. I appreciate your mentioning that. I think that one of the questions that we've had is where our families can go for help. So what are you seeing at your site? What kind of tools are in place that maybe can help families that may need additional support?
I think the fact that we have the live collaboration and we have office hours, and I think office hours look really different amongst everyone. I think for the primary, I think their office hours is we're done with teaching our live session. However, many of the teachers are staying above and beyond and staying with the kids. You didn't understand, let's stay behind and let's walk through this. I think the parents are very appreciative of that. It might not even be their office hours, but they're like, you know what, you need extra help, we're gonna stay behind. I think really trying to figure out, this might be our office hours, but if you need a time later on because you're a working parent, we understand. I think many of our teachers are working parents, and also when they created their schedule, they have little ones at home. Not only are they teaching your kids, but they're teaching their kids as well. And really having that flexible communication has been very helpful. So I think that has been great.
Thank you. I think that's a really good point. I think we've been very lucky to have the educators we have and how engaged they are. Robin, you mentioned something that I thought was kind of interesting about popping in on classes and being able to watch. There are many of our teachers have posted different ways they're doing lessons and things they're doing. So what is your opportunity to be able to watch teachers? I know if they were on school site, you sometimes step into a class and join in for a bit. And now with distance learning, how are you finding that being able to still have that connectivity with the classroom?
Since they're all jumping right in, I will say that they've all shared how they're able to get in more classrooms right now because they can pop in and out. And so I think they're having the opportunity to visit a lot more classrooms and stay connected with the students because everybody's working hard, including our administrators. And I know they miss the kids just as much as the kids miss, their teachers and everyone seeing each other. And so I get to hear stories from them about how much more often they get to be in the classroom.
I will definitely validate that. We were laughing about this as an admin team. I can hit 15 classes in 15 minutes, and we call them dip-ins. And we've told the teachers, don't stop your flow. We're just coming in, checking things out. And what we're seeing is amazing. The preparation the teachers have done for these lessons and the tools that they put into their toolkit for when we do come back on site. I look forward to that day, but I also look forward to some of the creative things that are going to now be brought back into the classroom. And but I'm hitting 15 classrooms in the first 20 minutes of school, just checking in, emailing the students right away. Hey, you might want to, this is the principal, you might want to turn your camera on. And it's amazing how fast that gets a reaction. So I've been very impressed with what I've seen. And since I'm on a roll here, I will say, like the elementary was saying, we've been seeing each day a new wrinkle getting ironed out, some security glitches with Gloom, and the teachers being the leaders amongst themselves and helping each other, and the district support and the front office staff tracking down students that have had some different challenges and making sure that the Chromebooks are gone out. In the spring, we passed out 25 Chromebooks. Today, we're up to over 420. And, it's been no small task, but it's been everybody from the district. And I talk with Ms. Barrington over at American. We share an AP, so that communication piece has been great. And I talk to my partners across the district at the other junior highs. And so we're all on the same page, and it's nice to know, saying, okay, we're in the same spot. So, okay.
So Megan, what do you see that you think might continue when we get back onto campuses? Are there things that have been great tools or great processes that might actually benefit from this distance learning model?
I think one of the things that we can say with every bit of honesty is that our teachers are working harder than they ever have, but they're also having an amazing amount of learning happening for their personal development. So I was talking to one of my teachers earlier this week, and he said, as challenging as this year has been, I love how much I have adapted my curriculum and how much I have learned, and how much he's learning from the students as well, as they kind of help him navigate some of the technology. So I think there are a lot of programs that have really added to curricular ideas and resources that teachers are just going to bring back and never lose. And so there have been some blessings in this, and we look for silver linings everywhere right now. And this is one of them, that teachers are finding new tools that they maybe wouldn't have if we weren't in this situation, or they definitely wouldn't have learned them as quickly. So there's been a lot of positive.
Yeah, I think some of it's a little bit of forced growth. I've seen it for ourselves with district committees and things like that. Meeting over Zoom, it means that a lot more people can be engaged because they're not having to drive across Fremont at night to go to a meeting at the district office. I think in some ways, some of those things will make it a lot easier.
Could I add one
yes,
thing? It's kind of unique to junior high. We've always called the junior high the wonder years because parents tend to check out for the 2 years they're in junior high. They've been K through 6, and then the 2 years they take a break, and then they re-engage in high school. Our parent engagement has been enormous through this, and it's been vital. The parent support, their understanding, and so I'm hoping this is a trend that will continue.
yeah, I think it was one of the things that we were hopeful for with going to middle school, that we would maintain a little bit more of the engagement. Because it's only 2 years, people tend to think, well, it's only 2 years, I'll get back in high school. And then I think sometimes they just don't, and you never see that engagement again. Whereas if it's middle school and it's 3 years, I'm really hopeful that people will be more engaged and stay engaged. Does anyone want to speak to the challenges you've had for students with special ed, and what tools you're finding to be able to meet their needs? Or maybe you still have work to do.
What I was going to add, I'm not sure all of us have special ed classes too, but what I wanted to add is what's helped is breakout rooms too. So getting into even smaller groups. I have not seen a lot of challenges. I've seen nothing but success in the special ed classrooms. The pairs are very helpful. The teachers are very prepared and organized and ready to go. The kids are, engaged. So I'm seeing the same thing seeing from general ed. So I'm not really seeing a big difference. And they can do more smaller groups too with the different tools, like everybody's saying, that we have. You're seeing even special ed teachers implement more of these tools that they don't regularly do too. So, and engage, the kids are engaged, they're talking, they're online. The only little glitch I think sometimes that throws some kids off, and even teachers, well, more the kids in special ed, is when they lose connection and then having to get back on. That's where the only little thing, or if they have to go to multiple, like, okay, I'm done here. So what I see the special ed teachers doing, which is great, every morning, so detailed. Okay, it's this, then this, then this. So that's very helpful. That's the only little, it's hard for kids to have to go from here to here to here. But all in all, it's been major. I've seen a lot of good success with the special ed class. Yeah.
I think too, I was gonna say, I think too, Trustee Crosby, that one of the things that really, really helped us this year in Fremont is the time that we had over the spring to learn about what did work and didn't work. And then the time and the PD that the special education department put together in the summer for the teachers. But most importantly too, we had all of our special education staff hired this year by the time school started. And that is a tough feat, but Fran English and Carly Kim, didn't miss a day this summer and coordinated with principals to make sure that happened. And that right there translates to a much more stable environment for our students and their families. So I just wanted to put that piece of information out as well. Sorry, Mrs. Ochoa.
No,
it's that thing of, go ahead, sorry.
I know, I just wanted to say I have mild to moderate, and I can only speak for that. I can only imagine for classes that are II, that will look totally different. For kids, I think it's been nice that they are in their home environment and they have that safe zone. And like they said, things have to be very structured. And I think the teachers know that they can't just stay on one thing. They constantly have to be moving to the next thing and the next thing. And I think that's really been very helpful for our SPED kids because their attention is where they need to be constantly being moved. And I think this technology is something that's been worked really well for them. However, but we need to also look for our other SPED programs. Is this really working for them? Because yes, it might be working for a mild to moderate because these are kids that are maybe only a year behind in our time. It's for us to be able to exit these kids, but is it working for the other programs? That's something I would not be able to speak for.
Right, I think that's going to be something we're going to need to continue to work on. It's sort of like setting up school from scratch. Like if you came into a community that was brand new and said, right, we're going to start a school. What does that look like? You know, and I think that that's almost what this has been like, you know, to have to start from square one. And, you know, when Mr. Larson was speaking, visions of summer, what summer? You know, it just didn't feel like there was a summer this last year because everyone was working so diligently on all the different pieces. And probably the most complicating one is school reopening and what that's going to look like and how it's going to be accomplished. And I know it's a very long process. And I'm wondering if Superintendent Kamak, if there's anything you want to say about school reopening and sort of what we're looking at now and the challenges to make sure we're actually ready for that.
Thank you. Yes, there's a number of things to talk about in terms of reopening for in-person instruction, and that probably could be a 2.5-hour meeting in and of itself.
And probably will be.
I think some of the highlights are the fact that as our viewers know and as our staff and administration understand, we moved from the purple tier into the red tier. And what does that mean within Alameda County? It means that schools are able to, if the county remains in the red tier for 14 consecutive days, it means that schools are able to open for in-person instruction, but it doesn't mean that they have to. And I think there's a couple very important clarifying points that need to be made within that conversation. One of them that is related, it is related to the Alameda County Health Department. And that is, even though as a state level, there is a determination where each county falls, and Alameda County is now in red, the local county health agency still retains the authority to set more restrictive guidance. And so we are awaiting what I anticipate will be a new health order from Alameda County Public Health in the next few days. We've already heard some initial comments from Alameda County Public Health that as the county moves to the red tier, they will be taking a methodical approach in analyzing the data and taking a cautious approach for how they're going to reopen things as a whole. So that gives us a little bit of context of where we are as a county. And I think the other part to look at and understand is, what are we looking at in terms of updated guidance and guidelines from the state or local agencies? So we know that if we were to reopen in the future for in-person instruction, all of the things that we talked about last spring and throughout the summer would still need to be in place. Things such as face coverings, physical distancing, proper PPE protocols. And the physical distancing piece is a significant portion of the conversation, because most classrooms in the state of California are designed roughly at 950 square feet. And when you consider that we are required to keep our students 6 feet apart, it means that we likely will have to break most of our classes into smaller groups in order to safely return them to campus. And that carries with it a number of considerations that need to be looked at in terms of how do we design a schedule. Most of the schools that in the state that are looking at a return to instruction are using a A-B model, where some students are coming one day and some students are coming the next day. And those are just things that are some of the highlights of what we need to consider. The other part is updated guidance related to testing. When we first started looking at school reopening plans as statewide, when districts were looking at this in the spring, a lot of schools were looking at a passive screening process. And there's been a lot of discussion about active or passive screening for students and asymptomatic screening. And one of the things that has come up more intensely lately is asymptomatic testing. And right now, if a school district is looking for a waiver to do in-person instruction, and this could be a potential requirement in the future within the county, school districts are obligated to do asymptomatic testing for 50% of their staff every month, which means 25% of the staff need to be tested every 2 weeks. And so just some of those logistics alone create some really important conversation points. And that's why we're looking at engaging our labor partners in this conversation. It's why we're looking at engaging our community in more future conversations. and also recognizing the hard work that's taken place before I arrived by the many task force groups and conversations that happened at the end of last school year. So taking all the best information and all the best ideas that we can and trying to craft a comp too quickly, and then we have to return to distance learning too quickly, and putting students and families in a situation where we're coming in and out of different learning models. We know how much work it has taken to put the structure in place that we have now. And that work that I'm talking about is in terms of the actual classroom structure and the protocols for a learning environment. And so those things are very, very important. And we'll have to continue this conversation. Right now, our schedule is to continue monitoring the conditions of COVID-19 within our community. And we don't know what that will hold for us in the future. We know we're coming up on our traditional flu season. And we're going to be discussing this again at a November board meeting in terms of future considerations for in-person instruction. And the next thing that I think will be the next development is to see what the updated health order is from Alameda County Health, and continuing to put the safety of our students and our staff and ultimately our community at the forefront of everything that we're doing.
I think your point about space is very well taken. We've received a lot of inquiries about AP testing. And one of the concerns we have is normally we have very enthusiastic families who, scheduling AP testing already is challenging because of the amount of space it takes. And if you bet now in our new reality, if we're doing it in person, if we're required to do it in person, whether or not we'll be able to do it distance, if you are in person and you have to separate people by 6 feet, how do you fit all the people who would like to have, all the students who would like to have AP tests if they're, doing their own studying versus having a course? It makes it additionally challenging to fit all those students in a space if we're having to keep them separate. Is there anything you might want to add about the AP testing question? I know it's a really, yes, please, Megan.
And I think one thing that's important to note about this that may be confusing for some families is that last year we did the AP testing virtually. And this year College Board has asked us to plan for in-person testing. So as we are allowing students to start registering, actually, I think all of our high schools open today for online registration for AP testing. But in terms of that, we're registering a lot of students, and we want a lot of students to test, and we want everyone to be able to test if they choose to. But we're also facing these space limitations where College Board has directed us to plan for twice as much space per student as we typically would. And we still have the same size campuses, and we also are planning that potentially we might have students back on campus in May. So there's a lot of contingencies that we're planning for, and while we may end up having a switch from College Board where they say we're going to be testing virtually again, right now all of our campuses are planning for in-person instruction because that's what College Board has directed, and College Board is the group that manages the AP testing. So that's definitely a challenge that we're all kind of planning for both potential situations, the potential situation that we are testing on site and the potential situation that we are testing virtually, which would allow us to test quite a few more students. But if we are on site, we are going to be facing some limitations. And I know that presents concerns for those students who are self-studying. And to be fair, we want to be able to test everyone that wants to be able to, but we know we have to do that safely this year. So we're planning with the high hopes that we get to let everyone test who wants to test. But we are absolutely going to prioritize those students who are registered for our classes to make sure they all get to test. And then if we are able to test more of those self-study students, we absolutely will do that if it's safe on our sites to do that.
And that's nothing new. As far as our self-study students, we gave priority to students who are in our on-campus or in-class instruction before self-study. That has always been our process, but because of this new distance requirement, that's has the potential to complicate things. It's my understanding that the self-study students do have the ability to sign up and they'll be waitlisted. And then is it a matter of a random draw, first come, first serve for that wait list? What are you envisioning, or has that been decided yet?
So it will likely have priority based on grade level, so that those students who are oldest and might lose out on the opportunity to ever test, we want to make sure that they get the opportunity before they graduate to test. And then from there, work our way down through probably, yes, using a randomized per grade level until we can get everybody in if we're able to. It's just those space restrictions are going to be challenging for everyone this year. And we're already looking at alternate testing spaces. American is lucky enough that we have Los Rios Park right behind us, and the community center is one that we've used for AP testing before. And so we're looking at for our biggest tests when we can rent out that space and hopefully have some overflow testing space. So we're looking at all possible options. We really do want everyone to be able to test. But we have to do it safely and with the boundaries that College Board puts on us.
Thank you. I appreciate your addressing that, because we've had a lot of questions about it. And I think the other thing about reopening is the costs that are associated with it. When you talk about testing, it was sort of surprising to me being on a phone call with County Health and the local Alameda County Office of Education to find out that there isn't really funding provided to us for that testing, that meaning COVID testing, not AP testing, but COVID testing that needs to happen. So those are expenses that we're going to have to try to find during a time where we have a lot of budget constraints. And we've had questions about our budget and sort of the challenges we're facing and what it means to have some of the requirements associated with COVID as well. Superintendent Kamak, do you want to address that at all? Is there anything you'd like to share?
I'm sorry, Trustee Crosby. I just lost volume for like a minute, and
that's okay. I'm just wondering, as far as our budget and the
yes,
things
thank
that
you.
we're facing on that front.
Yes, as I included in my community and staff newsletter recently, we are facing some real fiscal challenges. And without going into a very long explanation of how California school funding works, the basic doesn't. The basic summary is that when the economy in the state is doing well, schools do better. I won't say that they're doing well, but they do better. And when the economy in the state is trending in a negative direction, schools suffer a direct impact. And under the local control funding formula, we were projected to see a 10 to 15% reduction this year. And the governor's budget actually did not move forward with that reduction. It gave us closer to what would be considered flat funding. And that being said, with our revenues versus our expenditures, we anticipate that we will need to make $11 million in reductions for the next school year, meaning we'll be making decisions regarding budget reductions or coming up with revenue enhancements this spring. And those decisions would impact the 21-22 school year. In the 22-23 school year, we anticipate additional reductions of roughly $16 million. So when we look at a 2-year span of $27 million in reductions, those will certainly be significant impacts to Fremont. And we're not the only district that's facing those challenges. And most of those challenges come from the fact that expenses within a school district don't continue to stay flat year over year. And when our revenue doesn't increase accordingly, we run into these problems. Additionally, we are in a position where we are in declining enrollment, which always creates a downturn in revenue for school districts. And that's something that is impacting Fremont that has not historically been an aspect that negatively impacts Fremont's finances. So there's a lot of work ahead of us in terms of making some budget adjustments. And I have shared my commitment and the Board of Education's commitment to make sure that we have a collaborative discussion with our labor partners, with our community members, with our students, And we want to gather as much input and feedback as we can in terms of how we arrive at some of these budget solutions. And we'll be bringing those conversations forward to our community and our stakeholder groups in the next few months, and having some really difficult conversations in the spring, but conversations that are needed, and we will find our way forward. We are hopeful that the revenues would increase from the state. There are some propositions on the ballot that might contribute to that. That being said, we also anticipate that we're going to continue to see some negative fiscal consequences throughout the state from COVID-19 and the limited functionality of our economy as a whole. So we have some bumps in the road ahead, but as we do in education, we will roll up our sleeves and find our way through this, because it is our only option to make sure that we can continue to serve our students and our community in the best way possible.
We're in a situation where a lot of the majority of our budget is salaries and benefits for our teachers and staff, and we want people to have a good living wage. We're committed to that. But it's especially important during a time when we have a teacher shortage. It's harder and harder to hire fully qualified educators. And we know that a lot of you, it's sort of amazing when we've had interviews for hiring, how many homegrown individuals work for us, people who have come from teaching in Fremont, who are families who have grown up in Fremont, and now they're going on to be administrators and work in the district office as well. So it really can impact a big swath of our community if we don't adequately pay our employees, and when you have these kind of budget challenges, and knowing that our budget is based on the revenue that the state brings in. We're just we have the Prop 98 guarantee, a portion of the budget that's guaranteed to schools. And it's really gotten to a place, especially in the Bay Area, where it's really inadequate given the cost of living that we have. I haven't heard from everybody, and I don't know, Jorge, if there's anything that you would like to add that's spectacular that's going on with your families on your school site, or Melinda, if there's anything else that you would like to add about, what you're seeing, the good, the bad, the changing.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of things going on at Patterson. Our PTA has been very active in supporting us for many years now, and they have really stepped up this year. Because with COVID-19, one of the things that we realized was that our families were being affected in many different ways. Some must have, they saw reductions in the income they were receiving, others lost jobs, and it really brought to the forefront the issue of equity and what we need to do to support our students. Thankfully, we have not turned anyone away who needs a computer or any of the materials. We purchased classroom materials for students who need them as well. They just need to give us a call, and really focusing on making sure that everyone has the same opportunity for success, even in this pandemic. And our community has been very supportive with that, and trying to support our teachers with providing supplies or other means of supporting the classroom as well. One of our theme for the year is we're all in this together, and we are. And no matter what happens, we're there to support one another, and our teachers are there to support our students and our families, and our families are reciprocating as well. So we have a lot of great things happening. And I'm looking forward to what's to come. We're growing closer together every day. So I'm very happy with the progress we're seeing. And come and visit us anytime you want.
Okay. Melinda, is there anything that you would like to add on what you're seeing at your site?
that we have on a daily basis tonight. So I apologize for my jumping in and out, but I think it's just the reality. I tell my teachers that not too stressed, it just happens, and we're learning how to be resilient. Our students are learning how to be resilient and just to not panic and just work through the challenges, and all these lessons we're learning can but help us in the future as we move forward with different endeavors. So learning it the hard way, but I think it'll be a lesson for all of us to use in the future.
Absolutely. I think it's really good for us. There was a trustee that had posted about learning about an elementary student who was set up an appointment with her teacher to have a conversation about how one of the ways they were doing math she found really stressful. So the student was setting up a specific meeting to discuss it with the teacher. And this is an early grade individual student. And I think, you know, whether or not they get the math issues sorted out, just that individual advocacy that that child is learning to do, to speak with the teacher and advocate for their needs, that in itself, you know, great lesson learned right there. You know, you carry you all the way through college to be able to speak for yourself. So I think there are a lot of things. They're not the things that we get every year, but you know, there's a lot of growth, some of it forced, some of it painful, like growing pains. But I think in the long run, we're always telling our students that they're better off if they have the ability to be flexible. So we're having to learn that ourselves. We did have another question about specifically the Thornton Middle School conversion. Stan, is there anything you want to say about that, or Superintendent Kamak?
I've been meeting weekly with the on-site construction, and that things have been, you know, they're right on schedule. They're breaking ground on the first phase of the building in November for the science wing, and it'll be a year completion from that. We have a construction committee that consists of parents, teachers, different representatives from the different labor unions, and we met, I think, about a week ago for an update from the architects and from designs, and the additional funds the school board approved were explained. So I'm very happy with the contractors and the construction company. They are always are communicating. And as I get updates, I email them out to the parent community through School Loop. So
that's great. I'm sure the parents are very grateful for that. It's another area of growth that we get to go through, but in the long run, it's really going to benefit our students to have the school upgraded in that way, and to allow a little bit more space on our elementary campuses by having 6th grade come over to you. We have about 10 more minutes, I believe. Is that right? So I don't know, maybe we can just go around, and if there's anything each of you would like to add that you feel that the American attendance area community would like to know. Anyone speak up.
I can jump in, Trustee Crosby. One of the things that in my role overseeing our secondary schools that I really, really enjoy is the opportunity to meet with families and talk to families about things that are going well, but also about things that might not be going well. And I find that whenever there's a concern or something we don't understand or something we hear on social media, that it's really best to reach out to the teacher, to the principal, to myself or Miss Cert at the district office, and find out, you know, what is this about? I've heard this, I'm concerned about it, because hopefully you saw tonight, anybody watching, that we are all in this together, and we want the best for kids, and we would never try to do anything malicious or damaging to kids, but we can certainly work with you and explain situations and problem solve. And that's true not only in the American attendance area, but all across Fremont. We're a special community. We have families that care tremendously about our kids. but there's staff that cares equally. So I just wanted to put that message out as well.
And if you don't mind, actually what I need to do right now is say goodbye because I'm going to a parent cafe meeting. So, and I'm on the team. So this was great. It's always good to see everybody and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Linda, say hi to everyone for us. Letty, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I just, being new to Fremont, what I am learning very quickly, and I'm very appreciative, is just community voice and how we have so many partners in our community that want to help and be a part of the solution for our kids. So I would be remiss if I didn't put a plug out. We are currently looking for parents to participate on a lot of our committees. And so one committee in particular is our African American Advisory, Parent Advisory Committee. And so applications are on the website. I'm personally reaching out to families across the district and inviting them to apply. And it's a place for our parents of African-American students to come together and really look at meeting the needs of all of our kids in Fremont. And the other is around our local control accountability plan, our LCAC. And so we have vacancies and we need more parents on this. At about 6:30, I'm going to join that meeting. And our applications are on the website as well. And we're continuing looking for more parent voice to take part in that. So thank you. It's been wonderful and just learning a lot about Fremont. Thank you.
Both of those are committees I've had the pleasure of sitting on, and they're just really a joy to have the conversations, a lot of it about equity and meeting all of our students' needs, which is, I think, something we're committed to, and we can always do better. So if you are a parent who has a voice, who has concerns, or who just wants to support the district and our students, absolutely. Those applications, I believe, are on the district website, correct? So reach out to us. Anyone else have something they would like to share?
Before we close, I just want to extend again my thanks and appreciation. It's been stated tonight, but our administrative team has just done an exceptional job across the district. Our classified team, our child nutrition staff, our educators, everybody that's involved, our support staff. We look at some of the data points in the early parts of our school year. Our average daily attendance rate was over 99%. That doesn't happen without teachers, classified staff, administrators, all committing wholeheartedly to try and serve every single student and reach every single student in our community. And it doesn't happen without our parents' commitment to education as well. So I just want to, again, extend a huge thank you to everybody who's been a part of launching this school year in distance learning. I want to, again, extend my gratitude and appreciation for the warm welcome. Fremont had a long list of attributes and reasons why I was really interested in trying to earn the privilege of serving as your superintendent. And every one of those things has held to be true thus far. And I also want to close, although it doesn't have to close the meeting, I don't want the meeting to close without acknowledging and thanking you, Trustee Crosby, not only for facilitating and being our host this evening, but for your long record of dedicated commitment and service to our community and to our Board of Education. So I want to again extend my thanks to you for all that you've done on behalf of our students and our staff and our community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm coming to the end of serving in Fremont Unified. I'm not running for re-election in November. And as I was explaining to CJ, I started putting our board meetings on my calendar for this year and suddenly realized I don't have to put the ones after January on my calendar. And that was a very weird feeling to think that I wouldn't be able to be here with all of you, but I don't think I'm going to go very far. I'm sorry to say you'll still have to deal with me, but it's really a joy. And I have a long history with a lot of you. And I am so grateful for the dedication you show. I think one group that really needs to be lauded also as our custodians. it's no small thing to go into a school site and try to make sure it's safe for everyone else. So that is a major investment in our community, and I'm really grateful for the work they are doing to keep all of our employees safe. If we're at all hopeful of reopening, we are going to have to be able to rely on the work that they do every day, and I'm grateful for their dedication. We still have about 4 minutes. Anybody want to add anything else? Just let the pressure build.
I'll just add, I just want to say that I think there isn't one person in Fremont in education or one parent who isn't working their hardest right now, and everybody is absolutely exhausted, but I think everybody is remembering that we're doing this for our students. And so I just really appreciate it. I don't, in every meeting I'm in, everybody looks exhausted, but I know everybody is working really, really hard. There isn't one person who isn't working hard for the betterment of our students. And I just want to acknowledge that it's the entire team that's putting it all together. That's really, making it successful for our students.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think that, you don't go into education for the money. That's just, it would be nice if that was the case, but you go into it because you're dedicated to the children that you want to serve. We're all interested in education and the way that a child's brain works and the joy every day of the crazy way they see the world. And it really brings light and joy, I think, for all of us to have those moments with kids. If anything, it's frustrating not to be, in the same room with them because of what they give us and being able to walk on campuses and seeing them running around and playing with each other and being silly. It's the things that as we grow up, we lose in our lives that I like to think of it as like plugging back into them a little energy jolt because of what they provide us. So we're lucky that we have the team we have, and where we have challenges, I like to think grace seems to be the word. I'm like offering grace, accepting grace. I'm not a big fan of Google Meet. It's not the way I like doing a meeting, but when I heard this is how we're doing, I'm like, that's okay if things go wrong, if your, connectivity doesn't work. Everyone is having the same situation. So everyone's very accepting and supportive. Our families have been terrific. If you've got a dog barking in the background, we have, kindergarten teachers whose home cat comes through the classroom to visit during classes, and that just makes it all the more fun. And I think that the ways in which we can bring those back into the classroom will be great, and we'll learn things, and that's what we're all about. So I think we have 1 minute left. So I just want to thank you all. And it's so great to see you all because I don't always get this opportunity to be in the same room. And so CJ, welcome to Fremont Unified, Letty as well. And I hope everyone has a really wonderful week, and thank you for the work that you're doing. Yay, go Eagles. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.